Hello, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned into another episode of Get Well Soon, and I am your illustrious host, Welly F, aka Moriarty. And if you've been around for the last 15 or so episodes, you already know the mindset is you either die a villain or you live long enough to see yourself become a simp. Once again, I bring myself to a topic that I'm very astonished by, just based on the fact that it's something that is affecting society as a whole. Like, I was scrolling, I believe I was scrolling Reddit when I found this article titled, it's The Age of the Instagram Face. And I'm like, I automatically knew what it possibly was going to be about. And I think that the article was nicely written. It was written by a woman named Gia Totolino. I believe that's how you say her name. If it's on the New Yorker's website, you can listen to it like in podcast form, or you could just read the article. I read the article about 2 times just so I can really get an idea of what the purpose was. And in the end, I was basically brought to the conclusion, like I've always known, beauty is fleeting. It's temporary. It's not something that's going to last forever. And personally, after reading this article, I sat there and I was like, man, I wish young girls learned this before they became women. A long time ago, I read a story about a girl that she was getting bullied in school because she had small breasts. So her parents went and got her breast augmentations. And when she got her breast augmentations, I think she died during the procedure. And this is all because of bullying. I think people fail to realize that being beautiful is a privilege. In a sense of being beautiful is not something that, in all honesty, for a long time, for as long as humanity has existed, being beautiful is something that was equated to just, it's just a genetic gift. It was something that, your mom and dad came together, they made you. Beauty was something that was probably going to come about by the most natural way possible. Beauty in so many ways cannot be explained because at the end of the day, beauty is subjective. But after reading this article, it made me realize that in the last decade, social media is responsible for our perception of beauty. And I think the beautiful thing about Gia's article is that it shows how Instagram revolutionized the way we see beauty. We literally see beauty as this flawless conception that really can't be explained, but we see it so much that we've all just came to the conclusion that this is beautiful. In Gia's article, she talks about how the most desirable feature in America is the Kim Kardashian, Bella Hadid look. It's this mythical, exotic European look that, it's, it well, but it's creepy that you know it well, especially if you know Bella Hadid, the Kim Kardashians. When you see these people, it's this mythical European look that's like, is she white? Is she French? Is she of African descent? Like, you just don't know. And if you're reading a lot of these articles about what the average American is going to look like in 30 years, you'll know that this is almost the aesthetic that they're going for. It's this look of just being mixed. And I'll be honest with you, it's wild to me that so many women are able to recreate this look now. And I'm like, at the end of the day, everybody doesn't look like a Kim Kardashian or a Beyonce or a Rihanna or whatever. But the makeup skills of women these days has gotten them to the point of looking like that. And that is scary, that we live in a time where modern technology is allowing us to be like, just screw my genetics. I'm about to go face tune the hell out of my face, and I want to look like somebody else. 30 years ago, that was a dream. But in the last 8 to 10 years, that is a reality. I think one of the coolest things about this article is the fact that the human mind is fickle and it's uncertain in terms of beauty and perception and self-perception. The woman that wrote this article, even her existence was questioned, and she only went into these, she was researching this topic, and she was visiting different plastic surgeons. And as she visited the different plastic surgeons, she even had to look in the mirror and ask herself, like, man, could I look a little more beautiful? Could I do some changes? Are the doctors right? And it's like, wow, like, that's how insane the ideal of beauty is these days. It's like, at first, I kind of felt like we lived in a society where your unique beauty defined you. Now, I kind of have to blame it on the female hive mind, because once again, it all boils down to the fact, in the last 10 years, it all boils down to the fact that everybody is trying to achieve this one goal. Like, everybody is in competition to achieve a goal of how somebody else looks. And multiple times in the article, Gia is told by the doctor that, a lot of people come in here, wanting this specific look. Like, they'll actually come in here and be like, I want to look like this. 15 years ago, that was a no-no. 15 years ago, that was definitely seen as a psychological disorder. It had to be. I can't pinpoint exactly what the disorder is called, but the reality is that is definitely a psychological disorder, and it plagues females the most. And the more men become feminine, and the more males gravitate towards that vain type of existence, males will become like that too. You see it a lot more in modern men. It's sad to see, but you do see it. After reading this article, it made me even more proud to be a man, because I realized that boys at a young age are not pushed into beauty pageants at the ages of 7 and 8. Things with us are not a competition of looks. Well, when I was growing up, it wasn't. At the most, by the time you got to high school, a lot of us probably got into fashion, probably trying to dress better to appeal to women. But as far as things that we couldn't control, like the shifting of our faces, the shifting of our nose, the Botoxing of our lips, like, that was unheard of. Like, we didn't need to do those things. In this article, they talk about how Kylie Jenner, the reason she did her lip pouty thing is because a boy at 15 years old made fun of her skinny lips. And it was like, well, at the end of the day, you're still Kylie Jenner. You're still rich. You still come from a wealthy family. I know that doesn't do a lot for a person's I know that doesn't do a lot for a person internally, but the fact of the matter is that just goes to show how even the privileged, and we all know this, like, the richest people in the world still aren't happy. And I guarantee you, even when you become the most beautiful person in the world, you're probably still not happy. But that is almost the root of your typical female's existence. Your typical female's existence lies on the fact, it stems from the fact that, is she beautiful or not? Is she beautiful or not? Is she successful? Like, that is what defines a woman. And after reading this article, I sat there and I was like, man, the traditional masculine tasks that males are born, that they're raised on, it truly builds character. Like, boys are taught to engage in masculine things that tend to motivate them from an internal angle rather than a superficial external worldview. We strengthen our legs to become faster while girls play with makeup to become prettier. We run up and down the street and we compete with each other to see who's the fastest, and we learn about winning and losing at an early age, and we learn about wanting to get better. And it's really for ourselves and our peers in a sense of, I want to outdo them, but it's not such a weird exception. It's not a weird obsession to where I'm going to go buy something in order to enhance myself per se, especially at a young age. Some people do get obsessed with it and start probably taking steroids and going overboard. But for the most part, as a child, I just remember being able to take a loss, being able to become more competitive. And once again, it built character. Meanwhile, a girl is probably in her house playing dress up, talking to her imaginary friend, or she's probably on the phone gossiping about some boy she likes. Like, that doesn't truly build character. That really just, I really do believe that the masculine traits that are instilled in a man, in traditional men, really help them to become better human beings. Now, it's hard to maintain, it's hard to say that when once a man is thrown into a gynocentric society, the things that they learn tend to not matter anymore. That's why men tend to seem toxic, because it's like, as a man, and it's just like I teach my son, as a man is taught to try harder, be persistent, be ambitious. Now you could take those same characteristics and term a man as a rapist or he's being too aggressive. But it's like, those were positive characteristics at a point. Those characteristics help men be better protectors. Those characteristics made men become better providers. Now those things are seen as toxic. But toxic femininity isn't a woman mutilating her face to become Kim Kardashian, Bella Hadid. Like, we all know the aesthetic. And in the black community, the aesthetic is a similar aesthetic now. Everybody looks like Jordan Woods or Lori Harvey. The baby hair, the pouty lips, the nice boobs, the flawless skin. Like, that's every woman's dream, the flawless skin. That is unrealistic. You're probably looking at my skin right now thinking, damn, this skin's pretty nice. I don't do anything to it. If I grew up playing with makeup and throwing chemicals on my face from the age of 7 and 8, by the time I'm 50, my face is probably gonna be screwed up. By the time I'm 30, my face is gonna be screwed up. And let's not talk about all the other hormones and all the other medicines and pills and stuff these women are taking these days in order to cheat genetics. The age of the Instagram face, in my opinion, is a good read because it establishes the fact that it's almost as if uniqueness within the female sphere is irrelevant. Being unique is not something that really matters for women anymore. I also feel like these masculine tasks that build a man's character, it builds personality. That's why so many males that you meet these days, in my opinion, they have way more depth than a lot of these women these days. Women are shallow. The first person you met that you could characterize as shallow as you were growing up, 9 times out of 10 it was a woman. I guarantee you. And if it was a man that you met that was shallow, he probably was feminine as hell. Think about that. And I truly believe that's probably the reason why they're trying to pull our young boys away from these traditional masculine tasks in order to better prepare their younger women. Because they're realizing, like, dang, this is a highly gynocentric society, and the only reason the only reason males are not succeeding anymore is because the way that they were brought up, which is great, It just doesn't work well in this society anymore because it's so female centric. So in order to make it better for everybody, we'll blur the gender lines, we'll destroy everything that once made sense, and we'll try to recreate it. And it's a disaster. And everybody sees it's a disaster. I honestly think that this is pressure that women don't need. And you're seeing it day after day. Like when you look at the research on this and you see that I think it's 92% of all cosmetic surgery is done by women. Stems from I think it's eyebrow lifting and eyelash lifting, breast augmentations, lip injections, ass shots, and things like that. 92% of these things are done by women, and this is a $1 billion industry. What was once perceived as fixing yourself, getting I need to, the early 90s, early 2000s, plastic surgery was still pretty taboo. And a lot of people that went to go do these things were fixing themselves. But guess what? In this article, it points out beautifully that now that it's called enhancements, everybody is like, oh yeah, I'm just getting enhanced because you're already beautiful. So now you need to be even more beautified because women know that their existence relies on beauty and success. So therefore, they need to enhance their beauty in order to get that advantage over their male counterparts. Because at the end of the day, all their male counterparts can bring to the table is their toxic masculinity and misogyny. Like, really? Like that's where we are now. It's such a shift in the culture when you have women that are gravitating towards one specific look. You have white women that are going towards, like I said, the Bella Hadid Kardashian look. You have women that are trying to navigate towards, black women trying to navigate towards the Jordan Wood, Lori Harvey type of look, Beyonce look, whatever. It's all centralized to these, to almost these archetype of women that were once unique, but it's like you go on Instagram and you can literally find lookalikes for people. You could find Gal Gadot lookalikes. You could find Angelina Jolie lookalikes. Like, that is where we are now. Rewind 60, 70 years ago, you didn't have a bunch of women trying to look like Marilyn Monroe and Audrey Hepburn. Don't get me wrong, I know that there were exceptions, but the reality is it wasn't an obsession. Like, it is bad now. I can only imagine what our kids are going to be like, what our young sons and daughters are going to be like in the next 10 and 20 years when they're growing up and they see that their parents are beautiful and like, they're like, dang, like, mama, like, I look in the mirror, I really don't look like you. And then they're the ugly duckling in the classroom. And you can only wonder what their minds are going to go through when they have to go through the reality that genetics isn't on their side. But then again, we have minors that are already practicing plastic surgery and enhancements today. So I guess we already know the answer to that question.